Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event. Houston Station, we are ready for the event.
Station, this is Ian Oliver for Fox Weather. How do you hear me?
Ian, we've got you loud and clear. How us?
All right. We hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Jasmin and Andres, it's an honor to speak with you both. You're roughly halfway through your mission on the International Space Station. Jasmin, this is your first time in space. You're a United States Marine and a test pilot. How did the trip up to space stack up to flying back here on Earth?
You know, I loved flying in the Marine Corps. I loved flying the Cobra, but I have to say, being on the International Space Station, it's pretty incredible. Like, when I first got here, I didn't realize how impressed I would be by the space station itself, but when you see it, like, it is really a marvel of human engineering.
Yeah, I would have to think that that ride is a whole different beast. Andreas, this is your second time in space. What's it like observing major storms like hurricanes from orbit? Both as a scientist and as a photographer, you've captured some incredible shots up there.
Well, one of the most impressive things is looking out of the window from the space station. We see just beautiful images of Earth when we look out the window, including thunderstorms and other weather phenomena. And it's really impressive to see them from space because you begin to understand really the power of some of these storms, the size, and you begin to understand just what effect they can have on the Earth when you see them from space, because you truly understand how big some of these storms are.
Yeah, very few people get that vantage point. It must give you a whole new appreciation of the power of Mother Nature. Next question's for both of you, and I think we're getting a bit of a glimpse into it right now. 3 months into your mission or so, when you wake up every morning and you're literally floating around in microgravity, does that ever become normal? Can you show us a little bit more about what that's like?
Ian, so I was curious when I first got up here, because I used to have dreams about floating and flying all the time as a kid, like lots of recurring dreams. And I have to say, I was afraid its appeal would wear off, but it has got to be one of my absolute favorite things. It makes you feel sometimes like a superhero when you can just flip up onto the ceiling. Sometimes just it's really calming and nice. Like, I actually really love just going very slowly through modules and just seeing what effect like any tiny motion or tiny touch I make has. But that and looking out the window are going to be some of the things I miss most when I have to come back home.
My dad was a fisherman growing up, and the ocean used to kind of rock me to sleep. I feel like I would sleep like a baby up there. It certainly looks pretty comfortable. Jasmin, your first day at NASA was back in 2017. That was during the total solar eclipse. You got to witness this year's annular solar eclipse from the space station. What was that view like? How did it compare to what you witnessed back on the ground?
I mean, it was awesome. So, yeah, my first day at NASA, as you said, was the eclipse, and followed shortly after that, that same week, was Hurricane Harvey, actually, speaking of powerful weather phenomena. And then up here, so we got 2 passes on the eclipse. The first one, we were in a position where we should have seen the full annular ring around it, the ring of fire. Unfortunately, there was blockage by our solar arrays, so we didn't get a great view the first pass. But then the second view, we had a really, really nice view. It wasn't quite the full coverage, but I was able to snap some photos of the eclipse, and Satoshi, my crewmate, was actually able to take some photos of the shadow on the Earth, which is also really cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I have to imagine that view was something. Andreas, you've been performing some experiments to learn more about what happens above thunderstorms. What can you tell us about that?
So the Thor Davis experiment I'm participating in is an extension of another experiment called ASIM, Atmosphere Space Interactions Monitor. That's an experiment mounted on the outside of the space station. And the purpose is to observe giant lightning strikes that shoot up towards space from the top of thunderclouds rather than down towards the ground. They're often called blue jets or red sprites because they're either blue or red in color. And it's a phenomenon that we don't know a lot about. We discovered it by coincidence, I think 25 years ago or so. So we're still learning about these phenomena. We're still learning or understanding how often they occur, under what conditions they occur, and what effect they have on our atmosphere. Now, the interesting thing is, because they shoot up to a height of 40, 50, 60 miles, it's a way for gases and other molecules to be transported from the troposphere, where most weather phenomena occur, up to the stratosphere. And once they get into the stratosphere, they can stay there for a long time. So they could have an impact on long-term climates, and it's something we don't really understand a whole lot about. And so it's fascinating to sit in cupola and to observe the thunderstorms, because some of them are very, very powerful, and it's impressive to just see lightning go off just one after another.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We'll look forward to more on that research. Jasmin, I read in your bio that as a middle schooler, you wrote a report on the first woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova. A month ago, you performed an all-female spacewalk. That must have been a powerful experience. Can you tell us about that?
I've done a lot of cool things in my life, but I have to say that spacewalk might have been the coolest. First off, Laurel O'Hara, my crewmate, is also my very good friend. We joined NASA at the same time in the 2017 class. So going out the door with her, Ann McLean, who I overlapped with in test pilot school, was the one on the ground guiding us through. So being able to experience that with them, and it was mine and Laurel's first spacewalk, and I have... it was the most exhilarating thing I've ever done, and sometimes it was so much I had to just remind myself, okay, just focus on what I'm doing right now, because if you start looking around out there, it's just it's an incredible view.
That is a truly special experience and achievement. I know we only have about 30 seconds left. I just have to ask you both, do you miss gravity? Are you ready to come back to Earth back in early 2024?
You know, one of the weird things up here is time. It feels like the 3 months that we've been up here have passed in the blink of an eye. At the same time, it feels like ages ago that we launched. So, 3 months from now, on one hand, I'm sure we're going to be happy to go home and see our family and our friends. But at the same time, we'll feel like this mission was over in the blink of an eye, and I'm sure we would love to stay up here.
Yeah, I agree completely with Andy. It's gone by so quickly for me. And I think one thing I do really miss about gravity is showers with running water that flows over you.
It's the little thing, so it's something to look forward to in 2024. As we as a species continue to reach for the stars, it's our explorers like you both that represent the best in all of us. So from all of us here at Fox Weather, we wish you a successful remainder of your mission in space and a safe trip back to Earth in 2024 and that nice hot shower when you get back. Astronauts Jasmin Moghbeli and Andreas Mogensen, thanks for talking with us.
Thank you so much.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Fox Weather portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from WCBS.
Stand by. The anchor Bridget Corn will be doing the voice check momentarily.
And justice, the character and destiny of the Jewish people were forged upon this ideal. Wishing you and your family Shabbat Shalom.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will...
Station, this is Houston ACR. The client will be coming with you in just a moment after this commercial break.
Copy.
Takes you to space. Baldwin, Long Island NASA astronaut Jasmin Moghbeli is currently on the International Space Station, and she joins us live from the ISS along with Commander Andreas Mogensen, an ESA astronaut from Denmark. We thank you both so much for being here. And if I can first go to you, astronaut Jasmin Moghbeli, you completed a spacewalk on November 1st. Can you describe what that felt like?
That spacewalk, so that was my first spacewalk. I went out with my crewmate and good friend Laurel O'Hara. It was also her first spacewalk. And it's got to be the top of, I've done a lot of amazing things in my life, but that was probably the most incredible and something I've wanted to do since I was a very little kid. It exceeded my expectations in every way, and was just honestly an overwhelming experience.
Commander, to you, what is your primary mission on the International Space Station right now?
Well, the International Space Station is first and foremost a scientific laboratory, and so all of our missions up here are dedicated to doing a variety of scientific research and technology development. And that includes both fundamental scientific research, where we try to understand physical, chemical, and biological processes, but also applied research where we try to gain the knowledge and the technology that will allow us to return to the moon and one day in the future travel onto Mars. And that's the primary mission of all of us up here, is to do research and technology development for the benefit of all of us on Earth in order to enable the future.
And back to NASA astronaut Jasmin Moghbeli. You've been on the ISS since the summer. What is the most challenging aspect of living there?
I have to say, I love floating, but weightlessness does bring with it some challenges. For example, earlier today, I lost an item, and on the ground, on Earth, when you lose something, it usually falls to the ground. You'll usually hear a sound. Up here, if you take your eyes off something for 5 seconds, you might have just put yourself back a couple hours, because that could go in any direction. It could get picked up by airflow. If it's metal, it could get drawn by something magnetic. And so losing things is probably one of the biggest challenges up here. And we've all lost several things, but somehow most of them have eventually come back around to us eventually.
What do you miss most from home?
That's a good question. Obviously, I miss my family, my children especially, but otherwise, the small things like opening the door, going outside, feeling the warmth of the sun, feeling the breeze, smelling the leaves and the grass, just those kind of things. We live in a very artificial environment up here where everything is controlled. Probably the closest thing you can compare it to is an airplane. So if you imagine flying across the Atlantic, but not just spending several hours, but several months on board the aircraft, that's a little bit how it feels like living on board the space station.
And before we go back to you, Jasmin Moghbeli, and I know we've been talking about your time in Baldwin schools. How did that time inspire you to become an astronaut?
Well, it was at the elementary school, Lennox Elementary School in Baldwin, where I first decided I wanted to become an astronaut. I did a book report on Valentina Tereshkova in the 6th grade. And from that point on, this was what I wanted to do. And it's funny because around that same time I decided I wanted to be an astronaut, Mike Massimino from the local area got selected by NASA. And so to me, that made it feel achievable. If he could do it, I could do it too, maybe. He was from nearby. So that's something that started there. And I've traveled a lot since I graduated high school, all over the country, and I have to say it has made me really appreciate the education and the teachers I had in the Baldwin School District, not just the academics, but also the arts, the sciences. And I always believed I could do this someday because other people believed in me, and I still keep in touch with many of my teachers from Baldwin, so I think that says a lot about them.
From Long Island to outer space, Baldwin, Long Island, NASA astronaut Jasmin Moghbeli speaking with us on Newsline from the International Space Station, along with her commander, Andreas Mogensen. We thank you both so much. Wow. Wonder of technology, right? Traffic and weather together.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you to all participants from Fox Weather and WCBS Newsradio station. We are now resuming operational audio communications. Good job.